Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Merrifield's Gardening Advisor. We're so glad you could join us, and I'm very excited today because we have a great guest today.
Thank you.
Amy Strunk is with us today as our gardening expert, and Amy is a landscape designer extraordinaire at Merrifield Garden Center.
Thank you.
And not only a landscape designer, but kind of interior designer as well. Do it all.
I am fortunate enough that I had really good role models, and a really good place to work that lets me play and do what I love to do. So yes, I do both interior and exterior design, landscape design, a little floral design. So I think when you get the design gene, you just get the design gene.
That's right. Well, we've got a great show for you today because I had asked Amy, as a landscape designer, I know we've talked about fall color a lot the last couple of weeks. Peggy had her picks, David had his picks. So I asked Amy for her top 10 picks. But you couldn't quite keep it to top 10, could you?
So my top 10 sort of turned into more than that. So stay tuned. There are a lot of really good slides, a lot of good information today. Like I said, I think when you're a plant person and a design person, you just get excited. And we have a lot of beautiful stuff to share, both on the show today and at the garden center. So I'm sorry, you have too much good stuff.
That's great. Well, it's nice to get that design perspective too.
Right, everybody has a different take on it, and that's part of the gift of working somewhere like Merrifield Garden Center. We have so many talented people, Peggy, David, myself, all the people out in shrubs, our great plant clinic, all of our designers. So you're right, everybody does have a different take on it, and some of the designers are actually teaching some good seminars this week that we'll talk about too.
Exactly. Also, a little later on in the show, besides color, we're going to have you take some of that color and show some great ideas for decorating inside.
Correct. Yep. Some things to do that you can take the outdoors, indoors. So important tips for decorating a little bit for the fall season, for entertaining your company, keeping people in the spirit of the season,
I guess. That's right. And it's a beautiful season. I'm loving this weather lately.
Oh, fall has been so stellar.
Great.
Aside from the minor tropical storm. But we needed the rain, so we're thankful for that.
Right. And we will open up the phone lines later on in the show. If you've got some questions for Amy, that would be great. About the last 20 minutes of the show or so. Before we get started, just a couple of quick announcements. Want to let you know what's going on at Merrifield Garden Center this weekend. And we've got a lot going on, as always. Our seminars are up and running today. Actually, we've got this week and next week, and then we take a little break.
Right. Gear up for Christmas.
At our Merrifield location today, Mary Kirk Menifee is going to be talking about playing with fire. So, it's, as we were talking about, the nights are, it's a great fall weather. Crisp nights, cool nights, perfect time to be outside.
Perfect time to be around a fire pit or a fireplace, and we do both of those things. We've got incredible stonemasons, so we can create something custom for you for your specific yard. We also carry beautiful Teco Block and EP Henry products, so we can do something that is prefabricated. So there are lots of opportunities to invite fire into your backyard, and they are popular. We have so many customers that are looking and wanting that extra layer of outdoor entertaining space, and I mean I love it. We can do s'mores and have a little campfire. I don't really camp, so my idea of camping is the backyard.
Well, and there's just so many different ideas. So go to Mary Kirk's seminar today at the Merrifield location. It's at 10 a.m. She's got some great ideas for you. At our Fair Oaks location, 4-season gardening, and David Yost is actually sitting in for Peggy today with kind of just going from winter to spring to summer to fall, 4 seasons in the garden, just the way to keep your garden looking great all year long. And at our Gainesville location today, Robert Woodman's going to be talking about gardening in deer country, because we all know that we're all deer country around here.
I know when we have customers that tell us, oh, I don't really think we have deer, we know that they're not outdoors all that much.
Exactly.
I think anytime you're in a highly populated, densely urban area, you are going to get them. Is your family?
Oh, yes. I can't go over to Mom and Dad's without seeing about 7 or 8 deer.
Exactly. Usually staring at you in the lawn.
Right, exactly.
So, yes, gardening in deer country is a great topic. Teaches you what to plant that they shouldn't graze, although they don't tend to read what we do.
Right.
I'm sure great ideas. And he does have a British accent, so if nothing else, it's worth listening to for an hour.
And actually, he's going to be on the show next week with us, talking about the same thing. So
excellent.
That'll give you a little teaser today, and then come and watch next week and learn some more.
Perfect.
And then, as I said, next week we've got great ideas as well. Pruning Made Easy, just for kids will be at Fair Oaks.
Very good.
Check for that. That's one we asked you to sign up for, the Just for Kids seminar, because that's a hands-on thing. They're actually bringing a completed project home. Perfect. So there's a limit on how many we can handle, but just check the website, because a lot of times if a class is closed, sometimes we can make one, a little later in the day. Perfect. Or that type thing. So again, Pruning Made Easy, just for kids. and fall cleanup, I believe, are our 3 for next week.
Good way to wrap up the fall season.
Right.
Or I guess begin the rest of the fall season.
Couple of other things. Tomorrow, the Arlington Rose Foundation is having, they have several of their meetings and programs at our Fair Oaks location. And so tomorrow they're going to be having a seminar from 2 to 4 p.m., The World of Mini Flora and Miniature Roses. They have a guest speaker, Richard Anthony, who's an exhibitor and rose expert. Actually, I think he's a judge for a lot of their competitions, the rose shows that they have.
Yeah.
So take advantage of that. And then something really fun coming up. We've got a couple, let's show a couple of these pictures here. We've got some of our contest coming up. Okay. We are having next weekend on the 26th our Halloween dog costume contest. Now, these are a couple of past participants.
And this is at our Gainesville location, which if you haven't been is well worth the trip. But look at this little cutie, it is a little outfit.
Isn't it? Little cheerleader.
Little cheerleader. Love that sweet little face. He's like, Mom, don't take my picture.
I know. And then we have a couple more. I call this leader of the pack, you know.
Very cute, the Harley dog. Harley dog. I love that he looks like such a tough guy, except he's got that big tongue out.
I know.
So sweet.
And then we have a police dog, I believe, as well.
We've always got safety first, everybody.
That's right.
Safety is important.
But
look
I mean, these costumes are just so imaginative.
They are very clever, and the owners are very gracious to bring their pups and share them with us. And there are great, great prizes, and the categories, I believe, are...
Yes, we've got some great... First of all, the grand prize is a Merrifield gift card for $100, so that's great. But then there's also prizes for most unique, the funniest, the scariest, the cutest, and Karen Belahusky's favorite, the best kisser.
There's always one
kisses those dogs
that just loves to get in there and give you a little love. So yes, please bring your dogs out. There's great food out there. We've got a great cafe. We have beautiful products and stuff out for fall. Actually, our holiday shop is gearing up. So if you want a little early Christmas shopping, there is that too. And of course, we always have beautiful seasonal plants in stock.
Absolutely.
And great people to help you.
And next weekend, that is the registration will start at noon, and the contest will start at 1. So we'll have more information on that next week. But I think that's all our announcements. So we're going to take a little break. When we come back, we've got some beautiful color. Your top 10 picks for color.
Top 10 plus.
Top 10 plus. We'll be right back. Hi everybody, welcome back to Merrifield's Gardening Advisor. We have a wonderful guest today. Amy Strunk, one of our landscape designers at Merrifield Garden Center, is here with us today as our gardening expert, and she's got some wonderful ideas for some top, well, as I said, her top 10 plus picks for fall color. So Amy, what do you have over there?
So we've got some beautiful things to show you. Actually, these slides right here behind me are of a maple, and you can't see the Latin name because I'm standing directly in front of it, but October Glory is what this is called. This will get 50 to 60 feet tall, 20 to 30 foot wide, best red, orange, and yellow color. It tolerates full sun to part shade, but gosh, look at those red leaves. These are a very, very consistent, thorough, tough plant, so they will absolutely be a stellar addition to your landscape. So next up, we have got Aeschylus parviflora, also called the bottle brush Buckeye. This is also considered a shrub, actually, believe it or not, even though it can get up in the 12 to 15 foot range. This golden yellow color that you can see right here, right next to me, is absolutely stellar in the garden. It almost looks like it's glowing. The white blooms you can see here happen early in the spring in these tall racemes or panicles of blooms. It does like a little bit afternoon sun, but it can tolerate pretty much any other condition than that. Next up, we have got our witch hazel. So although this has stellar fall color and actually a lovely light fragrance to it in the garden, it is also considered a winter bloomer. These yellow, again, yellow fall tones make it worthwhile to have in the garden. 15 to 20 foot tall and wide. It is actually very vase shaped, a very V upright grower, so allow it space so that it can really pan out and do what it's supposed to do. This is one that I say don't prune it because it's supposed to be that way. You want it to allow itself room to grow. So these beautiful yellow spidery blooms or copper spidery blooms unfurl in late winter. Beautiful fragrance, a great addition to the garden. Next up, We have got Serviceberry, Amma Lankier. Again, beautiful fruit. The birds usually get to it before the people can. Beautiful purplish black berries, gorgeous red to golden yellow to orange tones. This is often multi-stem. I love this as a substitute for crepe myrtles. I love crepe myrtles, but this is one of our Virginia natives, so to me, worth planting for the eco value. Next up, we have got sweet gum. This is always a fun Latin name, Liquidambar styraciflua. That's a mouthful there. You're probably very familiar with these because of these little sweet gum balls. These are also a great thing you can use in fall decorating. We'll talk about that a little bit later. There is a fruitless cultivar called Rotunda Loba, and we sell both the straight species as well as the non-fruiting variety. But beautiful, beautiful, good shade tree. These are very oval in their habit as they age. Again, nice bark. They can take quite a bit of full sun. Beautiful red, orange, and burgundy to purple fall color. So these are some that you will start to see turning from here on out, and even getting better as the temperatures cool. All right. So we've got Sourwood, Dundrum Arboreum. Again, another Virginia native. This one can get up there in size once it finally establishes. It can be a little slow to get going. This can take a little bit of time to really start to establish in the garden. But once it does, gosh, this is spectacular. The blooms you can see right down here by me, beautiful white panicles, really, really long racemes of flowers, but the fall color turns scarlet to plum. It likes really acidic soil. It can do really, really well in a little bit of shade. It likes a loamy acid soil, so make sure that you give it that nice deep thorough watering, but check it before you water it. All right, up next we've got Beautyberry, another underplanted shrub, probably because it can get big. 6 to 8 feet tall, 6 to 8 feet wide. It can turn yellow to green as it matures and ages. It is full sun mostly, part shade, and loves it wet. I see this often growing in wet areas, boggy areas, undisturbed areas. It's a great, great plant by a stream bank. These beautiful flowers turn into beautiful berries all the way down the stems. So you start to get beautiful clusters of flowers, beautiful clusters of berries. They start white, they age to a purple, and then a really deep wine color. I love to use these in flower arranging, but I think even in the garden they make a gorgeous addition. Again, cool branching habit. Caryopteris, also called blue mist Spiraea. These can range anywhere from 2 feet to 4 feet high and wide. The silvery gray foliage is a really interesting color in the garden, especially this season, or this time of the season, I guess I should say. With so many of the plum and coppery tones we have going on, this is a gorgeous counterpoint to that. Yellow to orange fall color. Full sun is best. I love these little spidery blooms. They have these little wispy, delicate flowers on this gorgeous silver plant. There actually is a yellow-leafed cultivar, so for those of you that really like chartreuse, this is a good plant for the garden. All right, next up, we have got, oops, you can't see it because I'm standing in front of it, Dogwood Cornus. This is a huge species of plants. This has a lot of variety, 4 to 12 feet tall and almost as wide. Anywhere from red to red purple fall color, full sun to part shade, and it loves wet feet. So this red twig dogwood down here at the bottom is spectacular in the winter. As the temperatures cool, the color turns even more vibrant, even more red. This right here with the mottled leaves, the white leaf margin, is an excellent color addition to any garden that has a little bit of shade. These take a lot of sun, but they can tolerate some shade, and it's nice to get some texture and some variety in those type of gardens. And then finally, right up here at the top, that orange to yellow, gorgeous. All right, so moving on to smoke bush, Catinus. This is also called smoke tree, smoke bush. As you can see down here with the smoke and the late summer, late fall, the blooms turn into these gorgeous purple plumes, scarlet red to orange fall color you can see up here in the top. Again, a nice plant. Full sun has best smoke or bloom plume. You can tolerate a little bit of shade. All right, moving on to this next slide here. We have got Vaccinium or blueberry, anywhere from 2 by 2 to 6 feet tall and bigger. This is probably one of the very underutilized plants for fall color. I love blueberries. I grow them on my own porch. They're in containers, so they make a nice small accent to the garden. The fall color is worth it, and of course the fruit in making blueberry pies, who wouldn't want that in their yard? So I know there was a lot of information. We do have it on our website, and please stay tuned. Come back to us after break for even more exciting tips.
Amy is back with me out of our virtual garden, we kind of call it.
Yep, we're back.
And we've been talking about trees and shrubs.
We are.
So we're on number 52 now of our top 10. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like 37, but don't chat. There are so many great plants, Debbie.
I know.
If you guys didn't have such a selection, I wouldn't have so many choices.
There you go. That's good.
Worst problems to have, right? Than
Exactly.
too many plants to pick.
So, trees and shrubs.
Now we're on to perennials. So there's another big group of plants to cover, and again, these are just a few of what I think are great additions to the fall garden. So starting off here, we've got Amsonia, a beautiful, beautiful golden color. Blue Star is its other name, 3 foot tall, 3 foot wide, yellow to sort of a burnt orange. So as you see on that slide on the left, it's definitely golden. As it ages, it turns sort of into a rust color. But again, beautiful accent in the garden, such a fine texture with so many of the evergreens we all like to incorporate. This is a really beautiful addition to the landscape.
It almost looks misty.
It does. It looks very misty and very soft. You kind of just want to rub your hand on it.
Exactly.
Maybe that's just me because I'm a plant geek. I can't help myself. All right, so coming next up to Japanese anemone. And this is probably one of my favorite fall plants. I have both the pink and the white in my garden. They can range anywhere in height from 12 inches tall to 5 feet. So you're almost looking at some of these blooms when you're standing out there in the garden. The foliage stays low though, so you just get these sort of wispy little heads in the garden, sort of dancing as the breeze blows. They can take it damp. I have them growing around my pond. Full sun to part shade. They like it well drained, but really, you know, it's not a factor, especially once it starts to establish. They can run around when they're happy. So where you have one, you may have multiples, and I'm okay with that because it just means that mom gets some, and you know, cousins get some, and it's one of those nice plants you can divide.
I'm sharing from my garden.
Sharing is caring, right? Exactly.
So sharing is caring. There you go.
And it's a great way to get people to pass on a plant that is tough as nails.
Right.
I mean, a lot of people are afraid to start with things that they think are going to be a lot of work, and this is not one of those plants. So come out and get them. We've got a gorgeous selection, and they're in flower, so you can take a look at them right now. All right, coming up with asters. So I know this is a very old-fashioned plant. I know all of our grandmothers grew asters, and they're making a real comeback in the garden. They can range from 6 inches high to 4 and 5 feet high and bigger. Pink, white, blue, purple. There's a lot of variety within this. Full sun. They can take it wet, actually. They don't love to be soaking wet because the roots rot, but they can take a little bit more moisture than other plants can. But again, a nice, really nice cut flower. We use this a lot whenever we do flower arrangements because they are quite long-lived. Okay, next up, we have got
here's the name change.
Eutrochrium. This used to be Eupatorium, also called Joe Pieweed. So, you know, those plant taxonomists got to make it hard for us once we've learned all of our Latin names. We got to relearn them.
We were talking to David yesterday. He's like, I just have a hard time saying that different name.
Yeah, he said, I'm not learning it. I said, well, that's fine, but I'm telling you about it. So if you ask for either, we shall know at the garden center whether David wants to admit it or not.
That's right.
But this is also a great butterfly attractor. This, it's great plant for the larval for swallowtail, tiger swallowtails. Monarchs love it. I see it covered with butterflies in the summer in my garden.
Oh, neat.
It's sort of over the fence. It's tall, 5 feet, but you can keep it pruned a little bit lower if you like that. But I like it sort of wispy and fallen over the garden fence. To me, it's sort of the charm of the plant.
We actually earlier got a glimpse of Amy's garden because we did some filming out there.
We did, so you can.
And it was great.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get to do it again.
And it's a townhouse, and it's amazing how much you can put into a townhouse garden.
It is true, yeah. I think people underestimate the amount of plants you can stick into a space, and to me, if it's not a workhorse or it's not going to be a tough plant, it doesn't stay.
Right.
You know, and the nice thing about some of these plants that we're talking about today are workhorses. I mean, these are plants that I cut for flower arrangements, I prune to take places, I've brought them in for wedding flowers, you know, I shape them up and dig them out if they don't do it, or stick them in a container one year and throw them in the ground the next. So I think your garden needs to be versatile. To me, when you're done, you're
If you're a plant, you have to be on your toes in Amy's garden.
We have a pep talk once a year, and if you don't meet the pep talk,
that's right,
it's
you're
like,
out of there.
Coaching, right? Get out of there. I'm at Merrifield. I mean, I can find a replacement.
That's right. There you go.
Any day, any given notice. All right. So Helianthus is a swamp sunflower. So this is a plant, again, a lot of people use in substitute of black-eyed Susan. I like this. I think it's a little bit more delicate. It has certainly quite a lot of blooms. Is not tend to romp as much as the black-eyed Susan, which some people really like. 12 inches tall, can get bigger than that, up to 4 feet. Backs of borders is a nice place for this plant because it does have that height, and that yellow color sort of carries your eye. Again, another great butterfly attractor. Keeping on to the next slide. We've got Goldenrod, again, fall plant. Some people think that this is an allergen or an allergy.
Right.
This is not that plant. This is a beautiful fall color plant, really delicate blooms. So 2 different types here. We've got the upright form on the bottom and sort of the wispier form called fireworks on the top. And it does sort of look like it's exploded into fireworks of golden yellow.
Poor plant gets a bad rap with its name.
It does get a bad rap, but it is one that is worth planting. And the hummingbirds love it. And for me, anything that loves hummingbirds is a love of mine. Okay, next up, we've got Muhly Grass. This one is one that you see in the landscape and it almost takes your breath away.
Oh, yeah.
It's got this really soft pink plume on it. Beautiful, beautiful cascading fountain-like habit. Beautiful plant for full sun. Great in a garden border. I love it. Even imagine that backed with that fall sunflower.
Oh, yes.
So pretty, or with like that pretty silvery blue-gray with it. Nice plant. All right. Last up here, our last slide, and then we'll move to 2 perennials, maybe live and in person, is sedum. And I know a lot of people plant the Autumn Joy Sedum. This is a little dwarf cultivar called Vera Jameson, 10 inches tall, 12 inches wide, gorgeous bronze foliage and pink blooms. So this texture in the garden, this color in the garden is a really lovely, lovely play off of those grays or those silver tones. I think a nice plant, full sun. It's a low grower, so I think you can tuck it in just about anywhere.
Right. Now you brought a couple on set here to
I did.
To show.
I brought this Japanese anemone, one again that I have in my garden and can't live without. I'll let Debbie hold it. Although I want it back.
Okay. All right.
All right, and this is one of the false sunflowers. This is called lowdown. So a lot of those Helianthus can get higher, a lot bigger in height and width. This is a dwarf cultivar. So if you have a small garden or even a container, I think this with its little starry yellow blooms is super cute and a really nice little addition to tuck in somewhere. I don't think there are many spaces that you can't just.
Right.
I'm sure that's very much.
What's the top height on that?
Probably 18 inches, 12 to 18 inches. So dwarf, as Peggy would say, more is more.
That's right.
I mean, and I am on board with that. And this one that Debbie has here in her hand is called September Charm. So a really delicate pink flower, cup-like leaves, really pretty little yellow interior. So again, yellow with the pink is a beautiful fall color, yellow with the gray. I think there's a lot of options for the garden,
great.
as you saw. I can't stop.
Yep. So I think they're going to get a little shot of this.
Oh, up close?
Maybe not. There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
So if you can see, I'll try and turn this little head so that you can see that delicate bloom. I know, so sweet. Really, really pretty. And again, nice one for flower arrangements.
Yep.
It's a really decorative plant.
Okay. Now, before we go, we got to go to a break soon, but you've got just something, an annual that we have to talk about. Cabbage.
Cabbage. I know. Not only do you want to cook with it, well, not this kind. Not only do you, but we have cabbage on the slide here. So, and live in person on the set. Look at that. Good work, you guys.
Yeah.
But yes, this beautiful ruffled leaf, ruffled interior. I use these again in flower arrangements. They are so long-lived, but in the garden they're long-lived too. They can tolerate a heck of a lot of cold. They're one of those plants that carries us through fall, through winter. Gorgeous with pansies, gorgeous with asters. We've got a huge selection, single leaf, double leaf, white, purple. So I think there's something for everyone.
Right. And this year, I know between the cabbage, ornamental cabbage, and the ornamental kale, such great textures and looks this year.
Yeah. I mean, really ruffly and deep and elegant. I mean, you just want to like feel them, and so many of them almost feel plasticky because they're just so tough.
Right.
But very, very cool for the garden. Okay. And I think we had
just one more slide, quickly.
One last. This is dahlias. So I know many people are incredible dahlia growers. I have not braved the waters of growing them yet, but they range anywhere from 2 feet to even bigger, 8 feet tall. They are a bulb, or really a tuber, as David would call them. They take mostly full sun, multitude of shapes. Like look at the starry one down on the bottom. So incredible that they can breed for this. It's just spectacular. But the options within this variety are,
that's great.
A lot.
Great ideas for color. So always great to get another opinion of what is exciting out there. So thank you so much. We're going to come back and we're going to bring you inside with using some of this beautiful color to decorate inside. We'll be right back. Welcome back. I'm especially excited that Amy's here today because Amy does a lot of our Christmas decorating, a lot of decorating throughout the year, inside and out. And weddings, you and Tina have been doing a ton of weddings this year.
We've been absolutely busy. It's something that most people don't know that we do. Merrifield Garden Center has a floral division. We're located at our Fair Oaks store. Our in-house florist is Tina. She does an incredible job, and she's been really, really lucky to take me under wing a little bit. It's a passion I've always had and have been able to cultivate it even further with her. So it's been a wonderful opportunity to see all the cut flowers we can get, not just the outdoor flowers we can get. And I'm sure you've been the recipient of some nice stuff too. So we also have cut flowers at our Gainesville store. Marie is out there, as our floral designer out there, and it's just so nice to have the, especially if you're going somewhere and you need a cut flower arrangement, and it's like just pop downstairs and a quick dinner party something. Yeah, we do. And we have really cute mason jars this year, which is becoming a big popular trend. That we're doing a lot of stuff in little mason jars and things with burlap and things that are a little bit more rustic for fall. So we can always custom make something for you for a dinner party or for a guest or for the holidays. So please do keep us in mind for that. Yeah. So I love the fact that you're here and can address that as well. So this color that's out there that is just spectacular, we can bring it inside. Right. There is color in the landscape that we want to see inside. So these couple of slides here. This I loved. I did a little walk through the nursery and did a little pruning on a dogwood and used that to tuck into this tablescape. So we had a tablecloth laid down and then we put some burlap over it, and we used a combination of the little white mini boo pumpkins, some gourds, some wrapped sisal balls, and then really beautiful little rustic candlestick holders with some moss. But what an easy way to entertain. You just kind of set that up. Debbie walked by in the beginning. 5 minutes later, she's got it set up. She was like, boom, dinner party. Here you and what's nice too is because when you have a dinner party and you're talking over an arrangement, it can get too high. But this is perfect because it's nice and low. It is low, and it's usually something that you would have on hand. I mean, let's be honest. I always have moss on hand. I always have moss on hand. You just never know when you're gonna have to whip up a wreath or a centerpiece. But the pumpkins, we carry the gourds. We carry all this stuff is stuff that we have here in the garden center. So and I love the gourds that we have this year. There are some really, really cool gourds. We've got some spectacular stuff. The growers have been doing a stellar job, and we've been fortunate enough to get the pick of the litter, so to speak. And we've got some incredible things. But this silvery gray, I just thought was very different. And granted, you could do this with orange, you could do this with mums, tuck little mum heads in there. So there are lots of opportunities for this. And then at your dinner party, you need place settings. You do need place settings. And look, I'm coming to dinner. Debbie's coming to dinner to sit across from those gourds. This was a leaf from a dogwood that I took a Sharpie, a gold Sharpie, and wrote her name on it and tucked it in with a floral pin. So this is a little baby Indian corn. A cool idea. And this next picture is of the actual place setting. We sell these beautiful papers that are, throwaway placemats. But I love that with our really cute little antique vintage silverware. You get to take the little favor home. And you do. You can take your Indian corn home. So a nice little place setting that you can use as a favor, use as a, thank you for coming to dinner. Not incredibly expensive, but thoughtful, and something that you could even task friends and family to do. I know there's always a lot of people underfoot at holiday gatherings, so you could send them outside and say, hey, collect your favorite leaf, we'll use them for the table. Exactly. Well, you've got, if you want to just kind of stand up next here, you've got a cute little arrangement that you put together. So I did. So yesterday, although Tina and I were busy working on a wedding, we had some time to make something else. So this was a small arrangement I made in a little black container There's some Gerber daisies in here. There's also an ornamental pepper, which is what this black texture is. I took the seed heads of some cone flowers and also put in some bittersweet. So please note the bittersweet is toxic to pets, kids, dogs, that sort of thing. We do have an artificial that is a great substitute for this, but I just thought this texture in this little container, the black on orange, and it matches myself this morning. Not really intentional, but nicely working out. So again, a small flower arrangement that you could use, take to a dinner party, but perfect for Halloween, perfect for a little something. Thank you for coming.
And then you have something on the door.
So we do. Whenever you talk about fall decorating, the first thing whenever you have people come over is, how does the front door look? This is a beautiful combination of berries, branches, and leaves, which I think is welcome fall for sure. But we can do other things that are tailored to you. We've got an incredible amount of ribbon, some beautiful burlap, some beautiful sisal. So we really can tailor this to you. We've got talented people who can whip something up.
That's right. Well, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be taking your phone calls.
Yes, we will. So please call in with all your questions.
Everybody, welcome back. We're taking your phone calls during this this segment and the next, and I forgot to give you the phone number, 703-387-1046. So if you have any questions, give us a call. And Amy, our first caller is calling from Bowie, Maryland, and it's Laura. Hi, Laura.
Good morning.
Hi.
How
Good
are
morning.
you?
Hi.
This summer I decided to experiment with some water gardening in containers on my deck.
Great.
And in one pot I have a water canna.
Okay.
And I'm wondering what I do with it now that it's getting cold.
So in order to overwinter things, they either need to be cut back and submerged below the water line, or you can take it out completely and let it overwinter and then bring it back out next season.
If I take it out, do I need to keep it in water over winter?
Not necessarily. So in the winter, if you keep it where it is, it's going to freeze in place as is, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Okay, so I should just let the foliage die back, cut it off, and then bring it inside?
Yeah, you could bring it inside or put it in a cool garage or in a cool, underneath a basement space or underneath a deck, somewhere like that.
Okay, but I don't necessarily have to keep it in water.
No, you don't have to necessarily keep it in water, but if it does freeze in place, it should be fine.
Okay, thank you so much.
And you can always call the garden center too. Rob Cap, Debbie's husband, is our pond guru at the Fair Oaks location. If you want me to give you their number, I'm happy to do it, or it's on our website, merrifieldgardencenter.com.
There's so many different water plants that I get confused as to what is what.
There are, and things that don't necessarily you would think would grow in water do well in water. So that's an option too.
Laura, thanks so much for the phone call. Okay, as we're waiting for our next call, do you want to pull up? Can you pull that up?
Or if I can slide over to get this. This is
grab this.
Not a
we didn't get to this, so
we didn't get to this, and this is an incredible arrangement. So this is in a barrel here. A nice.
You can probably sit down here. There we go.
Can you even see me over
here?
Yeah, there we go. Hi. So this is a nice planter that is already done. This has a really nice combination of plants in it. We've got the cabbage here in the front. We've got a mum in the middle. There's a really pretty Rudbeckia back here in the back. Can you
tilt this?
Tilt it or turn it? I know, it's not exactly light. And then you've got this incredible red barren grass here in the back. So beautiful texture, really nice combination of things. So green and red striped foliage, picks up on the copper in the mum, picks up in this little Nemesia down here in the front, sort of weeping out of the edge of the pot. So we've got a lot of texture and a lot of color in one small container. And I think this is around $40. So multiple plants in one container that's already done. I mean, I know a lot of people are looking for something that is just ready to go, ready to put on the front doors, that they don't want to have to think about it. And this is a beautiful way to do that. And we can pot up custom containers for you. So if you have a container at home that you like or have used for many years, we can always come up with something like this for you in your own container.
Okay, great. Ornamental grasses in general, there are so many of them out there.
There's an incredible variety and incredible differences in height and textures. We had a little Hamlin grass around here on the set this morning.
Somewhere.
I know it's probably amongst all of our beauties. But that's one that I really love to incorporate for its fine texture. It has a dwarf version called Little Bunny, which I think is such a cute little name. I know my little boy Graham would love to put his little fingers on those little fuzzy blooms. But that's a dwarf cultivar, so in the 12 to 18 inch range. So a lot of people say, oh, you know, I can't plant grasses, I have a townhouse garden, or you know, I just have such a small space, what can I do with that? Hamlin, Little Bunny, some of these smaller, even blue fescue is one we didn't mention. See, you can't stop me with
I know.
You can't stop me with plants. Is a great texture plant to add to the garden. Silvery blue-gray color with some of this orange and rust tones.
It's just such a fun time of year with ornamental grasses. They're just in their glory right now.
They are, and actually a lot of the Virginia natives are spectacular. We've got a huge group of panicum is the Latin name of it, and the variety within that and is anywhere from silvery gray to steely blue to orange to burnt red. So like you said, there's a ton of variety, and we're lucky that we carry almost all of it.
Absolutely. We have another caller on the line.
Perfect.
Keith is calling from Vienna, I believe. You there, Keith?
Yes, I am.
How are
Hi,
you?
good morning.
Good morning.
And you have two questions, I believe.
I had, well, I do, but my first question is, as I was overseeding my lawn this week, I noticed I had a lot of African violets in my lawn, and I'm wondering what I can do to get rid of those. Is this a good time of year to do it? Do I need to wait to the spring? And also, I was putting new grass seed down. I was turning over my grass, my lawn with a rototiller, and I noticed a lot of grubs in the ground. And how do I get rid of those?
Okay, so grub is, well, let's do the first things first. The wild violets, or the African violet, it's not an African violet, that's an indoor greenhouse plant, but a wild violet is a tough plant to get rid of in the lawn. You can treat it with something that's a direct concentrate spray. It's called Speed Zone. It will not kill the lawn, but it will kill the weed, and it is a multiple pronged approach, meaning that you're going to have to do it more than one time, and it is safe to seed around that, or if you've already seeded, it is safe to use that. You probably will still have to overseed if you have any bare patches, but that's a good start on that.
Okay.
Now for the grubs, we do have a Grub Control. It's made by Bayer, and it is a product that you apply and then you need to water in really, really well in order for it to become effective. And we sell that at all 3 of our locations. So if you just go in and ask for the Grub Control, they will know exactly what to get you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you for your calling. Have a great weekend.
Okay, well, I think we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll hopefully have a few more of your phone calls and some more great ideas for your garden, so stay tuned. Okay, we're back. 703-387-1046 is our number here if you have any questions, and we have a couple of callers on the line. Jill is calling from Great Falls. Hi, Jill.
Hello. Today I'm calling about fountain grass. I have it all around my pool surround, and last year I did nothing to it over winter, and I'm wondering, should I cut it down, you know, flat over this winter?
Yes, usually in late February or early March, you want to cut it back almost to the ground, you know, 4 to 6 inches from the ground. That'll increase the new growth and keep it nice and fat and full.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
Yeah, thank you for your call. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
So on the grasses, well, I guess you could cut them earlier if you don't like the look, but it's neat to have those up during the winter for the birds.
Correct. So from an environmental standpoint, it's actually ecologically better to keep all of your foliage on. There are ground-dwelling birds and critters and things that use it as a nesting space, and it actually, I think, adds another layer of texture to the garden in the winter. Seeing those dried out plumes on the you know, out the back by the pool, to me is just beautiful. And when they get covered with ice and that first frost, ooh, so pretty.
It's just a different look.
Let us know, we can come take pictures.
That's right.
So yes, I think it's it also alleviates one more task to do in the fall.
Right.
I know that so many of us are tidying up our garden in other ways. I don't think that's a necessity, and I think it helps keep the plant tougher by not allowing water to sit on the crown of the plant over the winter.
Right.
So,
okay.
A couple quick tips.
Thank you, Jill, for that great question. Okay, let's see. Our next caller is Kay, who's calling from Vienna. Hi, Kay.
Hi, good morning. How are you all?
Great. How about you?
I love your show. I'm not a great gardener, so let me just bear with me on my questions.
No problem.
Anyways, I have some mums that I bought that are beautiful. In fact, I got them from Merrifield, and they're gorgeous, and I have them in outside pots. My question is, I'd love to, you know, in other words, not just kill them off and throw them in the trash can at the end of the day. When's the best time to plant them in the garden?
As long as the ground's not frozen. So really anytime from here on out, usually the ground doesn't freeze until mid-December or later, actually, depending on what our cycles do. But if you want to keep them in the container throughout the holidays, that's fine. Just pop them in the ground after Thanksgiving, and they should be just fine to come back next year.
And then do I cut them down or anything, or?
No, I would leave the foliage on them. My mom and grandmother always said keep them knee-high till the 4th of July. So meaning keep them pruned, keep them short and fat until 4th of July. That will allow them to stay nice and fat and round and tight. After 4th of July, let them get as big as you want them to be, and then they'll bloom beautifully for you next fall.
Okay.
Now did you say they were in containers?
Yes, they're in, just containers. I just bought them and stuck them on the stoops. In other words, in pretty containers.
Okay. Yeah. Would she have any problem with the overwintering, depending on the type of winter?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, things in pots just aren't always as hardy as they are in the ground. So there are plenty of things I leave in my containers. My blueberries, for example, stay in my containers year round and they're just fine. Something that's a perennial, like a mum, I would say it could be iffy. If she doesn't want to risk losing it, I'd say the ground is the safer bet. If you want to plant one in the ground and keep one in the container and see what happens, part of garden to me is experimentation. So, if it doesn't work out, you've only lost one, you haven't lost multiples.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you. That's great. I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah,
Great.
please do. Keep us posted. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
Great. And of course, there are perennial mums in the perennial section.
Correct.
And your kind of
annual mums.
For
the seasonal
that you
part.
see. Right. Okay. All right. Our next caller is Nancy, who's calling from Arlington. Hi, Nancy.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
I have a gardenia. It's like a tree. It has a little trunk. It stands about 4 feet tall. It didn't do too well this summer. It would get buds on it, and then they would droop. The head would droop. It would never flower. But I want to bring it in. Can I cut it down and start it all over? What should I do with it for the fall season?
So depending on how big it is or where it is that you're moving it to, they like bright light but not full sun. So if you can keep it in an area near a window or somewhere on the brighter side of the house, that's a great spot for it. They like to be even moisture but well drained. So whenever you're watering it, keep that in mind. You don't want it to get any fungal gnats or anything like that. The best place to really get all the info would be our greenhouses. They've got a handout on care of gardenias, and that's the best resource. It may even be on our website. We have a lot of information on our website at merrifieldgardencenter.com, and we have headings for annuals, perennials, trees, shrubs, and greenhouse. So there may be a handout on there, but if not, in person, all of our people in our greenhouse could direct you to even more info than I could.
Okay, I'll just bring it in.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah, I mean, and that's good too, especially if it is having bud drop. That's something that they can probably look a little better at. It may need more nitrogen, it may need more phosphorus, it may be lacking something. So you can bring a leaf or even a branch of it in. I wouldn't bring the whole plant. They tend not to love having cross contamination in our greenhouses. So a piece or something in a Ziploc bag is perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see. Wayne is calling. Are you calling from Fredericksburg?
Yes, Fredericksburg.
Great. How are you this morning?
Good morning.
What can we do for you today?
I have a question regarding shrubs and plants. Several people have told me it's a good time to move them at this time of year.
Yes.
Ship them around in the garden, like butterfly bushes, brooms, a few other azaleas. Is it also a good time to trim them back at this time?
So anything that is a spring flowerer, like an azalea or a Scotch broom, is going to sacrifice some blooms if you cut it now. So if you have to prune it because you just have to prune it, then you can prune it, but know that you will not have as much flowering as you would have if you cut it back after it was done flowering. But as far as transplanting, now's the perfect time to transplant. The ground is nice and damp, temperatures are cooling, so they're going to require a little bit less water than they would have in mid-July, and they're going into their dormant season. So the sooner you can get them into the ground now, the quicker they can start to establish roots before they go into winter. So perfect time.
Do you have to water them a lot if you transplant them?
A lot is a relative term. It's, a lot. I mean, I would
once a week, something like
Water
that.
them well.
Yeah, I mean, you want to water them well. You want to water deeply and thoroughly, but infrequently. So this time of the year, probably once a week is probably sufficient, but you need to check them. There's no way for me to say once a week is enough. It's like, how much water did I need
It
today?
would be nice, but there's just no magic.
It depends on the rain, right?
It depends on the rain. It depends on how deep the rain is. Depends on the plant. If it's in sun or shade or a windy area, it's sort of like hitting a moving target.
And last question, the butterfly bushes, can I trim them all way back at this time when I move them?
You certainly can. Again, you're probably going to see a little bit of a decrease in flowers, but because they're such a prolific flowering plant, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks for your call.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, let's see. Bruce is calling, and I'm not sure where you're calling from, Bruce.
Manassas, Virginia.
Great.
Oh, perfect.
Great. Do you have a quick question? We're almost out of time.
Yeah, I have a fruit tree up front. It's a plum tree, and I think it has, I think it's called black knot.
That is fairly common on those. Probably the best course of action, sadly, from what I've experienced, is removal. As they age, they tend to get pest and disease problems, so they may be able to treat it with a chemical, but I'm unfamiliar with which one that would be. So your plant clinic is really the best bet.
Yeah, I didn't know if it potentially will spread to any of the other fruit trees that I have that are similar, like either a peach tree or a nectarine.
That is sadly not. Pests and diseases are probably the one weak link in my in my education. Yeah, I mean, I've much more the healthy plant, healthy place, and that's just not one that I ever plant. So the plant clinic really would be your best bet. I know David would be happy to help you, or any of the other guys and gals at the plant clinic.
And you could go to the Gainesville store there.
Yeah, Manassas is fairly close to Gainesville, or even call in there, 368-1919.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll give them a call.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Take care. My apologies to May, who was calling from D.C., but she was asking about bringing plants back indoors, and it is time to do that now because it's going to get chilly.
It is going to get chilly, according to our weatherman.
That's right. That's right. So we are just about out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Come see us at the Garden Center.
That's right. Don't forget the seminars today, and next week, gardening in Deer Country.